Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about something more in infertility. In the previous session we talked about the etiology of the infertility. It was etiology of primary infertility. So today we'll talk about the etiology of the secondary infertility. First, male causes, systemic factors, advancing age, diabetes mellitus, obesity, heavy smoking, alcoholism. Endocrinopathological factors, hypothyroidism, adrenal hyperplasia. Psychological factors may be responsible for the secondary infertility. Genital factors, herniorrhaphy, hydrocele repair, vasectomy, infective processes in urogenital organs and tract. These are genital factors responsible for the secondary infertility. Now we come to the female causes, systemic factors, advancing age and obesity. Psychological factors, they are the same which we discussed in the primary infertility. Endocrinopathy, thyroid disturbances, metropathia. Genital factors, vaginal stenosis, cervical stenosis, stenosis is narrowing, contraction, cervicitis, prolapse, endometrial tuberculosis, uterine fibroid, post IUCD pelvic inflammation. After insertion of the IUCD, sometimes the woman may get pelvic inflammation, which may be the cause of the infertility later. Post childbirth or post abortal tubal inflammation, ovarian tumors, and pelvic endometriosis. So these are various male and female causes for the secondary infertility. Now, when to investigate? The time of investigation is very important in case of the infertility. Whenever you get the patient with the complaint of the infertility, you cannot straightway start the treatment. You cannot ask the patient to go for the investigations, because investigations are very important to find out the cause of the infertility. So when you will investigate, when to investigate? Women between 18 to 25 years remain infertile after 2 years of normal sexual life. Earlier we discussed that after 1 year of regular sexual life, if the woman remains infertile, that means it is a case of infertility. Woman fails to conceive, that means she is infertile. So 1 year of sexual exposure regularly without contraception is must. Now this duration of sexual exposure again depends on the age of the woman. For all age women, this duration is not equal. So if the woman belongs to 18 to 25 years age group, you can wait for her for 2 years of sexual life. After 2 years, if she doesn't conceive, then you can start the investigation. Same way for women between 25 to 35 years. For these age group, at least 1 year of sexual life is important. Before that, you cannot decide or you cannot start the investigations. Woman above 35 years remains infertile after 6 months. So 35 years and above is advancing age. After this age, first pregnancy quite complicated. Many complications are associated. Much risk are there. So after this age, you cannot wait for a long time for the normal conception. You can define that case as infertile even after 6 months sexual exposure, right? So definition says that 1 year of sexual life is important without contraception, but you have to consider the age of the patient also. If the patient's age is advancing, in the younger age group, you may wait for some long time, say you may wait for 2 years as it is defined. But with the advancing age, this duration of sexual exposure becomes less, it reduces. That is for the betterment of the patient only. Now sometimes patient comes to you without waiting for the sufficient period. So you have to explain the patient, you have to convince the patient to wait for some more time, and by that time also if patient fails to conceive, then you can start treatment of the infertility. Sometimes you get the patient with some diseases. existence of some diseases in the infertility. Patient has come to you with the complaint of the infertility, but along with the infertility, patient also has any of these disorders like severe heart disease, chronic nephritis, severe hypertension, diabetes mellitus. Patient may be suffering from any of these diseases along with the infertility. So in such case, you have to explain the patient the risk involved if she conceives with the existence of these diseases. If along with that diseases patient conceives, these diseases may cause adverse effect on the growing fetus. Sometimes they may lead to abortion, so pregnancy may terminate. So you have to ask the patient, you have to advise the patient to postpone pregnancy, not to plan conception, or before having treatment of the infertility, she should be treated first with any of these disorders which she is having. Once she becomes free from this disease, then after she may go for treatment of the infertility. So if the patient is having any of the diseases, it is not safe for her to conceive with the existence of this any of these diseases, right? So treatment of this disease is must before conception, and that you have to convince the patient, about it, right? Clinical evaluation. How will you evaluate the patient? Only female is not evaluated, both male and female should be evaluated, and husband should be interviewed first in all cases. You have to ask the female, you have to ask the patient to bring her husband whenever she comes next time, and the husband should be interviewed, husband should be investigated first, then the wife, because male is equally responsible for the infertility, right? In our society, at many places you will find that the female is responsible for that, and she is tortured for failing to conceive, but actually the husband may be at fault. So husband must be investigated first, then the wife. Now what will you see in the husband? Age. With the advancing age, infertility may be there because there is a problem with the potency of the person. Occupation. What kind of work the person is doing, because the stressful life may affect spermatogenesis. If the occupation is as such that the person always remain under stress, then there may be affection to spermatogenesis, and this will lead to sterility. Mode of life, whether it is high living or how the person is living, that you have to ask. Sedentary life sometimes may lead to infertility. Habit of smoking, drinking, family history, history of previous marriage and children. If the person is second time married, with the previous marriage and children, you can know that person's fertility. Husband's fertility can be known with the previous marriage. If he says that with the previous marriage he has 1 or 2 children, that means husband is fertile, right? So you should ask also for this past history. History of past illness, gonorrhea, syphilis, orchitis, mumps, smallpox and tuberculosis. These diseases may also affect spermatogenesis and will lead to infertility. Marital relation, whether the husband likes the wife or not, because this is very important. Whenever there is marital disharmony, the husband was forced to marry with that particular woman, there may be impotency because of disliking of the partner, which will lead to infertility. That you have studied in the earlier classes. Complaint of premature ejaculation. Ejaculation occurs prematurely. Impotence may be there. So you should ask for these complaints also, because they may be associated with the infertility. Loss of sex desire. If person does not like to have sexual intercourse or has lost the interest in the sex, then it will also lead to the infertility. So you should ask for that also. Height, weight, development of secondary sex characters. That is to know whether the person has grown up properly or not. So these data should be collected. External genitals should be examined for phimosis, hydrocele, varicocele, testicular size and consistency, undescended testes and hypospadias. Because you know that these all are causes of the infertility. They will lead to infertility. So you should look for external genitals for any of these findings or any of these conditions, right? Now, clinical evaluation of the wife, of the woman. It should be done at three aspects. First is history taking, second is health checkup, and the third is pelvic examination. We start with history taking. Age of the woman. Advancing age reduces the chances of conception. So, age more than 35 years is risky. There are less chances of natural conception. Occupation. Again, if the woman is involved with the stressful occupation, the psychological stress may affect her fertility. So, it may be the reason of the infertility. Then present complaint beside infertility. Present complaint, you can say the chief complaint besides infertility. Infertility સિવાય બીજી કોઈ તકલીફ એમને હોય તો that you have to ask, because sometimes any of these other complaint may be the causative factor or the cause of the infertility. So you should ask for any of these other complaint also, like menstrual disorders, leukorrhea, dyspareunia, amenorrhea, obesity. These complaints may be there along with the infertility, which are associated with the infertility. Then you have to take her menstrual history, that is menarche, age of the first menses, duration of the flow and cycle, for how many days the flow persists, and what is duration of the menstrual cycle, amount of the blood loss, whether it is scanty, average or profuse, dysmenorrhea and LMP, last menstrual period. You should take these details because delayed menarche, scanty and irregular menses and amenorrhea are often associated with infertility. Delayed menarche. Nowadays at the age of 9-10 years the girls get their first menses. So even after the age of 15-16 years, the girl has, if failed to conceive, the patient will give you that history that I got my first menses at the age of 15-16 years. You can relate this with the infertility. So delayed menarche, scanty and irregular menses, amenorrhea, these are often associated with the infertility. So you should look for these features, and that's why you should ask for the menstrual history. Next is previous obstetric history. It is useful in the secondary infertility. It is useful when, after having one or two children, when the woman fails to conceive, it is a case of the secondary infertility. Then this history is important. What you should ask in the previous obstetric history? History of previous pregnancies, abortion, labor, puerperium, etc. Because in the previous pregnancy, if she had any of these problems, she may fail to conceive again. So it will result into secondary infertility. So you should take this history very properly. Then marital history. First you should ask is date of marriage, or since how long she is married. If you see your case paper, in the journal you will have the cases. If you see the gynec or the obstetric history, there is one head which you have to fill in the preliminary data, marital status. That means whether patient is married or unmarried. Don't just mention only married. If patient is married, mention since how long she is married. Mention the duration of her marriage. Whether she is married since 6 months, married since 2 years, married since 5 years, that you have to ask. Right? So always mention the duration of the marriage along with the marital status. This is important because the marital duration, the duration since marriage indicates duration of sexual exposure. Because in our society, we believe that sexual exposure starts only after the marriage. Premarital sex is something totally different, but we believe that sexual relations start after the marriage. So when the patient says that she is married since 6 months, That means she is sexually exposed only since 6 months. So at that time she is not infertile. When her age is just 20 to 25 years, you can ask her to wait for more 6 months for the natural conception. Right? So whether to define, to label any patient as having infertility or not, this duration of the marriage is very, very important. So never write only married. If patient is married, always mention the duration. She is married since what period, whether it is months or years. It is very important, especially in cases of the infertility, right? So you should mention duration of the marriage. Then frequency of coitus and nature of the coitus. As we had discussed earlier, 4 to 5 coitus per week is sufficient frequency. It may be, you can say, 3 to 5, right? So that should be proper and that is sufficient frequency. So you should ask for frequency of the coitus. You can also ask about nature of the coitus, whether coitus is done properly or not, whether the wife or the husband has any problem during the coitus or not, they face any trouble in the coitus or not. So that the doctor should ask. Then dyspareunia, that is a painful coitus. Painful coitus will decrease the frequency of the coitus. Whenever the coitus is attempted, the woman gets pain, and on account of getting pain, she will avoid coitus. So dyspareunia decreases the frequency of the coitus. Due to dyspareunia, the woman will avoid coitus, and as the frequency decreases, the chances of conception also reduce, right? So frequency may not be there along with the dyspareunia. So first you should correct dyspareunia. Use of contraceptive measures, if any. If patient is using any contraceptive, then you should ask for it. For example, if the newly married woman is there who wants to postpone her first pregnancy, so she may be started or she may started using OC pills. She is using OC pills since 1 year, right? And now she wants to conceive. So sometimes it may happen that the woman is using contraceptive and she fails or she forgets to use contraception and then complain of the infertility. So that should be considered. Then suppose after first childbirth, the woman has gone for the use of the copper T. Copper T was inserted. Normally, whenever the woman plans for the second baby, the couple plans for the second baby, copper T is removed. During the insertion of the copper T, the woman remains infertile. Woman loses her fertility because the copper T is present in her body, right? But when the copper T is removed, the woman again becomes fertile. After removing copper T, the woman will not regain her fertility immediately. It will take 2 to 3 months. Usually after 3 months of removal of the copper T, the woman regains her fertility. So sometimes you may get the patient who comes to you with the complaint of the infertility, and she says you that she has gone for removal of the copper T last month only, and now she is complaining of infertility. So it is not the case of the infertility. At least after removal of the copper T, the woman should wait for the 3 months for the return of her fertility. So whatever contraception, if the patient has used, you should ask for it because it may be related to the infertility. Then past history. History of mumps, gonorrhea, syphilis, appendicitis, tuberculosis, diabetes mellitus, any vaginal or abdominal operation. All these may be associated with the infertility. So you should ask for these details. Then family history. Fertility in the family. How is the fertility in the family? પેશન્ટ પોતે એને કેટલા ભાઈ બહેન છે, દેટ મીન્સ એની મધરને કેટલા બાળકો છે, એની બહેન છે મોટી છે તો એને કેટલા બાળકો છે, ઘરમાં ભાઈ છે નાનો છે, ઇટ્સ ઓકે. ઇફ બ્રધર ઇઝ એલ્ડર, બ્રધર ઇઝ મેરીડ, what about the fertility of brother in that sister-in-law, right? So fertility in the family is important, that the patient should ask. Tuberculosis or diabetes mellitus in the family. If any of these disorders are there, they are hereditary disorder. So patient may be suffering from these diseases and it will lead to infertility. Personal history. Mode of living, what is the lifestyle of the patient? Domestic work, whether she is doing much weightlifting during the household work, that you should ask. So domestic work also should not be stressful. And stress in life, stress is very important factor for the infertility, you can say responsible factor for the infertility. Health checkup, height, weight, obesity, endocrinological disorders, development of secondary sex characters, these should be checked. These data should be collected because they may relate the patient with the infertility. And final is the pelvic examination. This examination is to find out the probable cause of the infertility. Vaginal, speculum, bimanual and rectal examination should be done to find out narrow vaginal introitus, rigid hymen, hypoplastic genital organs, tubo-ovarian mass and uterine fibromyoma. There are some printing mistakes, so you can correct it. These are the common probable causes of the infertility. So, pelvic examination should be done to find out any of these existing disease. And if it is persisting, it should be treated. So, this we have discussed the clinical evaluation of the patient. We'll talk about investigations of both male and female in the next session. Thank you.